Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Night After Night, a podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Mr. Fernandez, and
I'm Krista Iwuna. Hello.
we're about to review I Do, I Don't, which is directed by Tom Turevich, one of very many episodes in season 7 of Laverne and Shirley that he directed, and written by the wonderful Cindy Beagle. Hi, Cindy, and Lisa Cut.
Yay.
Chris probably has some facts coming up about them. I've interviewed Cindy a bit, and I will be inserting facts that she gives me into that, and we're going to loop them later, because I just tweeted her like a little while ago from the pod Twitter. We'll get back to her. We're very excited. This is an amazing episode. It's a jam-packed episode. It's dazzling in a lot of ways. Here's what it's about. Laverne's fantasies of a wet t-shirt contest at Sinbad's come to a screeching halt when Shirley decides to head to a bridal show at the Beverly Regency Hotel. While Shirley's balloon floats toward the clouds, they end up overhearing that someone's prepaid, pre-planned wedding has been called off and ended in a hospital trip. Since the hotel won't return the money to the unlucky mother of the bride, Shirley leaps on the opportunity and decides to get married. The obvious groom, and oblivious Carmine, who's planning a fishing trip. She goes into overdrive, making sure she finally gets to say I do with the help of a hair coordinator named Mrs. Harmon. But she's forgotten Carmine's feelings in the process. What do you think of this one?
This is a case of should have pulled the trigger.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun getting there.
Yep.
I also have a couple of very important questions.
So do I.
First of all, is it silly pate that is going to be there at the buffet? And how unsurprised are we that Shirl is into the whole blood type thing?
We're not. She wants to coordinate everything. I'm not surprised she wants to coordinate everything right down to the blood type.
Yeah.
Of course. Like, honestly, this was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's chaotic. It's hilarious. It's horny as heck. So very ribald episode.
Yes, and it's a great return to the slobs versus snobs, which we have not had a good one of these in a long time. It feels like. Yeah. Even though everybody, everything's chaotic and everything's weird, and they have to clash with these people. Ultimately, everybody gets a free meal, and I guess Carmine and Shirley are kind of quasi-united in some way, even though season 8 will prove that that's not true. But Yeah. That still feels like this still feels like a thing. At least something, but not everything, because I'm trying to keep you away from spoilers. But this is definitely the moment where they should have pulled the Carmine and Shirley trigger. This is it. We had the perfect setup here. They should have gone for it. At this point, they just should have gone for it, because nothing after this proves that any other man would be better for Shirley than Carmine is for her right there and right now. And because it's the Carmine is willing to go through with this harebrained scheme, and he has followed her to California. Yeah. He has gotten a job to try to support himself, so he's not trying to mooch off of her. He is, trying to be as reliable as he can in so many different situations, and has been, rather consistent. And as far as we can tell, he's been ridiculously faithful to her. Since he moved to California. Yeah. So I would say, honestly, this dude, this. It's like Shirl, he's proven himself. Like, he may not have all the money, he may not be the doctor, but he's the dude. Yeah. And he says he loves her. He doesn't want to lose her. Just go for it. Yep. You just go for it. Yep. And think of how happy all the other folks around her are at the prospect.
Yeah.
They're all supportive of this.
Yeah, everybody's here for it. In the case of the boys and Laverne, they have known Carmine for decades now. They've known him, since they were all in high school, which I think is when Carmine transferred to Milwaukee.
Right.
But they've known him for decades at this point. Shirley and Carmine have been dating for decades at this point. It's the 1950s and the 1960s. So it's basically a decade period.
Yeah,
but
at least a full decade, if not technically like a little over, like 11 to 13 years.
Yeah, Carmine and Shirley got together when they were freshmen in high school.
Yeah, and they're the class of 58, I think.
Yep, class of 56. That is actually an episode title.
So that means they graduated in 56 or 57, correct?
Yes, in 56, I think it was. episodes.
Yeah,
Whatever happened to the class of '56? But this is Laverne and Shirley, and time does not matter.
Good point. It's okay. So let's just even it out. Just say it's been 10 years. They've been together a long time. Yeah. They've gone through ups and downs. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Since their early teenage years. Which is a long time to know somebody.
There's also an awesome sign, I think, of the growth that they've had in their relationship where there's enough trust that a certain exchange can happen. All Shirley really does is frown and kind of roll her eyes like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Which is where Laverne's in her slip and about to go upstairs to change. And Carmine comes in with his fishing gear and he goes, like your dress, Laverne. And she goes, like your pole, Carmine. And
filthy. Love it.
that is the kind of thing that shows progress where like Laverne, when he was fully dressed, was not even allowed to look at him. And he wasn't allowed to look at any women that she considered, even close to as pretty as her. Yeah. As Shirley, that is. Yeah. Shirley wouldn't allow it. And so, this is growth, in my opinion.
Yeah. She knows the only person who has been dating around California has been her. Mm-hmm. She's been seeing other guys, but he hasn't been seeing any other girls, or they haven't been brought up yet, even though, they're going to bring up some in season 8. But that hasn't been happening as we go along. In a couple episodes, Carmine is going to look at Shirley and say, that woman is my destiny. And when you get statements like that in your show, you just go for it. Go for it. Just go for it already. The spinoff you think you're going to get out of Carmine is not worth it.
Nope.
It's not worth it. We'll get there.
Gary, I love you, buddy. You were great.
Yes.
But Eddie was not going to be a leading man for this kind of show. I see him as a lead in a different kind of film or a different kind of show that he sadly never really got the opportunity to do. Yeah. That's what I kind of feel is what happened.
Yeah, he kind of got typecast as Carmine.
Exactly.
For a while.
Yeah.
And then he ended up doing more religious television shows and pictures because they give him a chance to stretch.
Yep.
Probably because he had a religious calling. So, but yeah, he could have been so much more and so different. But at this point, after Carmine had done all he'd done to the girls, well, to Shirley, at this point, all these years later, it's like, will your audience really follow this guy into another series? And the problem is, no matter how charming he is, we care about the girls. The thing is the girls. This is about the girls. It's not him.
Yeah.
And that's no shade on Eddie. He's incredibly talented.
Mm-hmm.
Was. R.I.P. What they were trying to do here was, preserve him for something that was never going to happen and was a risk in the first place. So, in the end, what you have to do is concentrate on what you got in front of you. And what you got in front of you is sticking the landing on this beloved show that's been going on for 8 seasons. Which I didn't think was going to be ending at the time. We'll get there as well. But the concentration should have been on either fixing the health of the show that we had or sticking the landing. Gary is 1 for 3 when it comes to sticking the landing of his sitcoms. I'll say that. The ending of Mork and Mindy was an up-in-the-air mess because it was unexpectedly canceled. It's not really his fault, but it was bad. The Mirth idea was, pretty bad, even though Jonathan Winters was a great improver. He and Rob Williams had great chemistry. But the idea of Mirth didn't work.
No, it did not. Not for me, anyway.
Yeah, it was weird. I remember being scared of Mirth when I was 3 or something, watching Mork and Mindy reruns.
Yeah,
3 or 4, 3 or 4 or 5, somewhere around there. Yeah, do not want. With Laverne and Shirley, we had extreme backstage strife with the actors. Michael, understandably, wanted to do Spinal Tap and do his own thing.
Yep. And
he got lucky enough that became a huge cult success, which, became a legend, which is now resulted in the film being permanently preserved underground in the salt cavern forever.
Yeah, and not to mention, Gary himself at this time had already gone off and was in the process of doing Young Doctors in Love. So, this is a very busy time for him. So.
Yep. He and Michael shot that, I think it was right in the middle of season 7, which is why Michael is sometimes blonder in certain episodes.
Huh.
Because he's very, very blonde in Young Doctors in Love.
Oh, yeah.
And that is not his natural hair shade. Even before it started to fall out.
You know,
gray.
the question is how much more blonde could this man be? And the answer is none.
No more blonde. No more blonde.
No more blonde. Anyway, but yeah, so the other thing also about this, you know, we'll probably need to cover this maybe in more depth, but the other thing regarding the whole do they pull the trigger and you know, and for anybody curious what the hell we're talking about is let them get married. Let these two get married. Go let the ship set sail, etc.
Yeah. The fact was that they were talking already about turning the show into a couple show.
Which would have been fine.
But if they'd done that, So go ahead.
The episode itself is also trying to make a specific kind of point, which is that, you know, because my mother's takeaway from the episode was this factor that there were these Russia wedding sort of, you know, marriages, and that people would end up being very unhappy, and that the 60s was when things were starting to change.
Yeah.
And she remembers growing up in, you know, through the 60s that there were a lot of cases where there were young people just like, okay, you're doing this, doing that, you know, the draft or school or whatever, like, all right, go get married, you know. And this is a way of saying we can be committed without having to get married. And it's an interesting sort of almost like a flip of moving in.
Yeah.
Because moving in is the fear of marriage, but Laverne's desire for it.
Yeah.
And this is Shirley's feeling of desire for it, but knowing she's not ready yet.
Yeah. And knowing, I think what really stops her here is the fact that she basically bum rushed Carmine into this. And she thinks maybe someday he might regret it. So that's another factor.
And he might, and this is the catch, right? Is he might, but at the same time, it's also like, you know, for a... Yeah. Because then that's another plot to have where he has to have that crisis of faith with his marriage, basically, you know, and like, did I make a mistake? Did I let her talk me into this? And, you know, maybe that's the case of Squiggy or Lenny having the conversation with him and telling him, like, you've wanted to marry her, right? And he's like, well, you know, when did you know? And it's like, well, you know, a while back. And it's like, but did you have the ring? And it's like, I thought about getting the ring. Then why didn't you get the ring? And it's like, well, and, you know, and then realizing that he did want to do it. He was scared himself, and she had to basically, you know. Anyway, my point is, there are ways to do this.
You've been dating since you were 14. Get married.
Yeah. So it's in that regard, though, it's like they're the point of them, what they're trying to get at, the point of the episode. I think the message of the episode kind of contradicts the overall show arc, and that's one of the again, I keep coming back to this is my problem with episodic fucking television, is where it always has the struggles of what is the episode trying to be as its own independent show, and what the series is doing as a whole of a series of a sequence of episodes.
I think the ultimate message here in the end is that they really should have thought ahead and said, do we want this to be so about the girls being single and dealing with being single and heading towards middle age and having no prospects for marriage, or do we want to turn this into a couple show? They needed to fish or cut bait, and they didn't cut bait until season 8, and then they had a bunch of different plans. We'll semi get there, but the plan was Shirley marrying the guy that she ends up being with in that season. And Laverne ends up with a guy that we're going to meet in season 8, and the plan was to have them living next door to each other, but being married. And Gary's side plan to this, his concept of this, is that if the audience hates them, we will just kill Walter off, get rid of him, and Shirley will be a single mom. It was a waste. It's a waste. I will explain this in more depth when we get there in season 8. Because we got a while to get there.
Yeah.
But to me, David Lander had a great comment in that What Were They Thinking book, where Laverne and Shirley's ending in its last season is considered one of the worst moments in television history, which is really damning. David had a great comment when he said that if they just married Shirley off to Carmine, the audience would have liked that, and they would have accepted that because they're familiar with Carmine.
Yeah.
Which is he's right. He was right. He's one of the wisest men.
Yep. Because the big issue with this whole, like, you know, where do these characters go is about establishing how well can they establish something new that works. Because, like, you know, we're coming up next episode to Karen Caldwell,
Yes.
And that, not to spoil our coverage of it, but that worked for me way better than I expected.
Yeah.
And we'll get back. Like I said, we'll get to that. But that's like the thing with any of, because like the Carmine is an established character. He's had his ups and downs, and they've also really clearly have tried in the last like two seasons basically to get him to where he's a good boyfriend. He's good for her. He's good to her. He's dedicated, while also not compromising himself and his own personal goals. And that creates, to me, a likable character. And, so therefore, all that groundwork has to be done from scratch. And, with any new character that they introduce. And so this was a case of, as you're saying, either, what is it? Cut bait. They needed to, if they were going to get rid of him, just cut bait. And they didn't do it. And anyway, so that all being said, so that's kind of the preamble. I wanted to start getting actually into the nitty gritty of the episode.
Just fun. Yes.
The other thing also, because this will connect to also this discussion, sort of a segue about like Shirley's personality, Shirley wanting to control everything. The idea of you get this once in a lifetime possibility. And, where it's like the whole wedding is paid for. And it's a pretty expensive wedding. It's got all those expensive gifts. It's got a hell of a buffet. There's pate. And as, the whole wedding planning thing, there's a conversation about, remember Jeannie, my, what is it? My sibling Jeannie or my cousin Jeannie?
My cousin.
Teeny Jeannie. Yeah, cousin. Yeah, Teeny Jeannie Feeny.
Yes.
Yeah, she didn't plan ahead and ended up getting married in Winnebago. And the better than a Volkswagen, which, oh my God, this gave me Mallrats flashbacks.
Great line. Teeny Jeannie Feeney, the daughter of Reenie Feeney, her aunt. Little tiny Teeny Jeannie Feeney. What kind of circumstances would cause you to get married in a Winnebago? I guess poor planning. Shirley is right. I wanted to first talk about one thing, and that is Sinbad's, which sounds like a horny version of Moby Dominic's.
Oh, yeah. That's probably what it is.
Laverne wants to compete in a wet t-shirt contest, Chris.
Yep.
How do we get to this plot in the show? It's very in character, but wow. Think about the girls back in season 1. Mm-hmm. They're hiding behind refrigerators so men can't see them in their slips.
Mm-hmm.
In season 2.
This scene has her openly in front of a man in her slip.
Yeah. And she doesn't care at that point. Carmine's looking at her slip, and it's like, that's a very pretty slip, by the way. I like that slip. She's there, and Shirley doesn't care either. My note is actually, Laverne's just stripping down to her slip in the living room. Why? Besides, the obvious reason why is that they're trying to gain some horny eyeballs here.
Yeah.
Is what they're doing. The same way, they had Rhonda sunning her boobs in season, earlier this season.
Yeah. Well, and just Rhonda having just cleavage all over the place for the last few episodes.
Yeah. But Rhonda, at least, is a fully fledged character.
Yes.
Gotta give Rhonda credit for actually being a character.
Oh, yeah.
Which is better than not being a character, actually, I could spend. So, Laverne has actually advanced to the point where she's, like, out there letting men spray her boobs with seltzer.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, unless she wears a t-shirt, and it's like, how far we've come, A, and B, wow, this is a horny subplot. Even for a show that's as horny as this one.
Yep.
It's like,
yep.
The only thing that's pickled there is the men, where the drinks are double and the men are single and the restroom is disgusting.
That's that's a hell of a tagline for a place, especially a place called Sinbad's.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the party scene from The Magical Voyage of Sinbad, aka
oh my God.
I think that's oh man, I actually have to look it up. No. I'm trying to remember the original title. Sadko.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Sadko. Yeah, I have a friend in Finland. I have a friend in Finland who grew up watching the film as a kid. It's because the original cut is like a 3-hour long musical.
It is I, Ilya Mortimer.
Wait, that's the Sword of the Dragon.
Yes,
isn't it?
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's crossed my brain. And that came out of my mouth.
And now here are my new job here at the International House of Pancakes. But yes, the As you can tell, we've overtalked the shipping stuff, and also particularly like behind this, like how do we make this work from a like technique perspective, and what are the right decisions for the show? That like our brains are fried, and now we're just devolving into Mystery Science Theater riffs.
Yeah, I'm here. My brain is here. I was gonna say, Carmine has transformed into the worst possible man outside of a golfing man, a fishing man.
Oh my God, that's an awesome. That is a riff and a half and a great note, and also true, because I will say the idea of Carmine going fishing basically is a way of like he's somehow like, because this is a guy that like he was a boxer, he did he was a dancer, he had ties to the mob and etc. And now he's going to just be boring.
It's like, he and Shirley were already settling into being boring together back in season 5, but now even more so, they're going to be boring together.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's kind of sweet. But he's going to go out there and go fish in California in the middle of a lake alone, I presume.
Yep.
It's like, so Carmine's going to drown, basically. It's like, that can make things.
Yeah. Or he's going to witness Frito getting taken out.
Poor Fredo. One right in the head.
I knew that scene was coming, but when I first saw it for the first, when I watched it for the first time, oh, my heart sunk so hard.
There goes the rest of Michael Corleone's soul. Bye, Michael Corleone's soul. Bye. Well, yeah, he does have some left. I mean, when his daughter dies and he loses it.
Yeah.
There's some in there, but most of it's gone. Bye.
By the way, guess who hasn't seen Godfather 3 yet? Thanks.
Oh, come on! You gotta give me credit.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I haven't. It's true. It's true, but also I'm pretty sure I've actually seen the sequence where the daughter dies, so don't worry about it. We're fine.
Well, it's pretty infamous. Poor Sofia Coppola. She can direct, and but yeah, the scene's infamous because she flatlines the line, and apparently people in the studio were howling, laughing. And they were saw for Devitt.
Oh, that's sad.
Poor girl.
Back on track.
Yeah.
Carmine. He he gets stuck by the big bad man, and that's not where he stuck me, and he turns his booty around.
Oh gosh, actually, this actually happens before he got stuck in the butt. I think. No.
You're right. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead too far. You're right.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's later.
Yeah.
I was thinking. I was thinking in my note because we were talking about him going fishing because he's referred to as my feisty little fisher boy.
Yes. She's trying so hard here. First, the girls, decide between going to Moby Dominick's. I almost said they decide between going to Sinbad's and between going to the bridal show. They go to the bridal show. They're stuffing down food. People think Laverne is being uncouth.
Yep. Yeah, the dishwashers are in the back, and I love how she just hands the glass of wine over. And goes, good. See what they can do with this.
Yeah, that's my girl.
And I do love the banter between the two as, Shirley's talking about all the things she would want for her wedding and Laverne responding, I can see you robbing a bank to pay for that.
Yeah. Shirley's balloon is in full flight throughout this episode. Her head is not coming down the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no way she's coming down the ground here. She's a go-getter. She sees her opportunity. God, what the heck happened to that couple that was going to get married, though? Because, jeez.
Yeah. So as we're going through this, this basically, we're at a venue where they hold weddings and they have the wedding planner and this whole package and et cetera. And the woman comes in, Mrs. Dorfman, saying the wedding is off. You'll simply have to cancel the wedding. The bride and groom are not speaking to each other. Oh, that's okay. It's just a case of the pre-wedding jitters. It's like my daughter shot the bum.
Yeah.
And so you figure probably infidelity.
Yeah. She probably caught him on top of one of the bridesmaids.
Ugh.
Pretty much my only guess.
Yeah. And I love they even say like, okay, just go ahead and deliver the pink rhododendrons as the hospital.
Yeah. Hey, might as well use them somehow. You already paid for them. You ain't getting the money back. Why not?
Yeah. Oh, and then saying it to deliver to some poor unfortunate creature to give give the wedding package to, and the way that Mrs. Dorfman leers right into Laverne's face at that. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. And then the way Cindy yeets Penny out of the way to be the poor unfortunate creature is really great.
Oh yeah.
Just yeets her. It's like that's after like seasons of doing physical comedy together, but that yeeting is really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
That's like Shirley in a nutshell, right there.
Pretty much, small but fierce.
Small but fierce, and willing to do anything to get her objective completed.
Yes.
Is it bad luck to grab someone's pre-planned wedding?
I would say yes. I don't know specifically if there is a hard rule here, like a Queensberry rules or something like that.
Yeah.
But I would say yes. The main thing is that you may be cursed. There might be
Possibly.
that the reason it's not happening is because there's a ghost involved in this particular wedding, and that it's somehow tied to the whole wedding planning and all of that sort of stuff. It sounds like it's a setup to a Japanese horror movie,
It does.
But I could see that, that is the case. But the thing also about taking another person's wedding that I find interesting is that we're talking about the slobs versus snobs. It's one of the few times we've seen the desperation in Shirley go so extreme that she would go through with this. Now, I understand she would. There's the possibility. It's not that I didn't buy into it. It just is interesting, as you were saying, talking about the changes over the seasons. I can't see season 1 or 2 Shirley Feeney doing that. I could see her saying, how dare you, and suggest that I take it. She'd be offended.
Yeah.
Like her future self would be screaming her head off in old, young Shirley, teeny Shirley Feeney's face.
Season 1, season 2, Shirley is going to have it perfect. It's going to be perfect. Season 7, Shirley both wants perfection and is desperate.
Yeah.
So it's a combination. So those two strains in her intermarry and cause her to be nigh on hysterical through this whole situation. And I could see season 7 Shirley screaming at season 1 Shirley, telling her either get Carmine to marry her sooner, or go for some guy like Ensign Benson, or all kinds of different things. All kinds of different things.
Because truth be told, Ensign Benson definitely seemed like he was he probably was a virgin. He seemed like one to me. Just throw him a bone and he'd probably be like, yeah, the ocean's the ocean, the lakes, the sea, whatever. It's nice, it's fine, but can you do that thing you did last time again?
So Shirley now is running around trying to make her dream come true.
Mm-hmm.
She cons Carmine into proposing in the most convoluted but hilarious way possible.
Yep. Aren't you tired of going back to your dark, lonely apartment? Oh, that's okay. I put a lamp in the kitchen. But don't you want to share that lamp with someone you love? It's like, not really a lamp. It's an overhead fixture. And she keeps like kind of trying to pass in the pillow, and he just keeps putting it back on her lap off the floor.
Yeah. Because he has no idea what the heck she's trying to get him to do.
Mm-hmm. And maybe he got too much sun when he was out fishing.
Yeah, possibly. He just let a total stranger stick a needle in his butt. So it's like, at this point, absolutely nothing is off the table when it comes to sanity.
And I do love the exchange of fate has thrown a curveball into the life of our love, and to which he says, Cheryl, I would love to take you to a ball game, but I'm not really into wanting to get married.
Yeah. I'm yours for eternity, my darling, and him rolling his eyes.
And then I love how she, chucks him out the door with the tux, and it's like, I made him so happy.
That's a great line. The way Cindy delivers that line is the same way she delivers the line, I'm a doer, I'm a go-getter, something like that. When she's just shoved Laverne out the door to go do some unpleasant task early in the season. I know it's the same tone she uses when she says they hate the Irish in the last talent show back in season 5.
Yes.
Same tone. Carmine's excuse here is the money. He wants to build a great future for her.
Yeah.
Which is why he was scrimping and saving in the previous episode, and we're going to see him try to make some career moves coming up in the next 2 episodes.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that makes sense. As you're saying, this all ties together as part of the thing, and that because if he's not going to be having to pay that extra money for the wedding, and they just do a nice private honeymoon that in California, the dude's been saving for what, like a year?
Yeah,
it's not bad. In 1966, that ain't bad.
Yeah, honestly, truly, like you can understand why he's trying so hard and he's working his butt off. So, you can kind of sympathize with him. You can also sympathize with her, and we sympathize most of all with the audience, who wants this to happen already. Most of them.
Yeah. So we get into the actual setup of like, okay, everything's starting to go down. All the guests have arrived. We get to see that extra again, and we're gonna see him again in another 2 episodes, and I made sure to have a note about that. But the person in question, okay, on the YouTube version, Future Me, can you put up a little photograph of that guy? He has shown up as an extra. I think this is his 4th or 5th appearance now in Laverne and Shirley as an extra.
Yeah. There are a lot of circulating extras who rotated through Happy Days in the background, the Arnold scenes, and the same kind of extras for Laverne and Shirley that rotate through the Cowboy Bills and the Pizza Bowl scenes. So at this point, he's probably extremely familiar to our viewers if they're paying attention and watching along episodes with us bit by bit.
For the most prominent featuring of him, I think that I can recall was in the Mortician episode. He is the customer waiting in the mortuary when Laverne has the urn stuck in her hand.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yes. He'll be a very familiar face to y'all. You should remember what he looks like. I love that Carmine's just kind of putting up with this. Like he's not breaking up with her the second he hears this.
No.
Which is impressive in of itself. Like, he could have just dumped her and walked out the door. But he did not.
Yeah. I mean, if put in that situation, I would stall for time. That's the main thing.
Yeah. Also, Shirley relying on the boys to get Carmine anywhere on time.
That is the biggest... I mean, that shows Shirley's delusion of being able to control the narrative.
She hasn't figured out at this point that she can't control the boys, which is what's amazing.
Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, she does not recognize them generally as the chaos agents that they are, which is amazing at this point.
They spend the second half of this entire episode just arguing over who is the best man, when it's like you both technically can be the best man.
Yeah. It's kind of endearing. That's kind of super endearing in a way, because they're so excited about this and they really want to be part of it. It's kind of sweet. How about the very, very 60s fashion on everybody here?
It's precious.
Laverne, in particular, that bridesmaid's dress.
Yes, it's very pretty. I like the color.
Yes, it's very seafoam green.
Mm-hmm. It's actually worth noting that this entire episode, the costumes are fantastic, like top to bottom.
Yes, they are. They're definitely. Both the people, whoever was clothing the women, and Wes Eckert, who clothed the guys all the way from season 1 to season 8, did a great job here. Everybody looks incredible. Great stuff. Shirley looks particularly incredible. That is a beautiful dress.
It is a lovely. Yeah, my mother commented as well that it's a beautiful dress. I love the way it flows when she moves is really magical.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. It's very Snow White-ish. Mm-hmm. She looks very, very lovely. It's very, very pretty. I love that moment when the girls see each other done up for the wedding and they go, oh, that's so real.
Yeah.
That's so real.
Yeah,
I've never been in a... Sorry.
I've witnessed that moment. Yeah. I've done weddings. I've done a couple of weddings. So yep.
I was gonna say, if you've ever either been at a wedding, or you have witnessed a wedding, or you've watched a friend get married, you've either experienced that moment or witnessed that moment where the best friend and the bride will see each other and just lose it.
Yeah.
So, it's real. Oh, it's sweet. Shirley's trying to control everything. She wants to see everything, experience everything, do everything, which is impossible. To be real. I love that she is greeting everybody and she doesn't recognize that none of these people are actually her friends.
Yes. Yeah. Then who are these people? Friends of the Dorfmans. Oh,
yeah.
Goodness.
She has actual friends and relatives in LA. How the heck did they not show up for this?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Which, again, shows that they were not ready to pull the trigger with it. They were never going to pull the trigger with this episode. If Lily's not there, because truth be told, if I was going to do this episode for real as a pull the trigger episode, I would have Lily and Jack show up for cameos.
Yeah.
Immediately try to make it all about them, and Shirley having the guts to say, "This is my life now. Get out." Yeah. That would be that would be my idea.
Yep. And then who's going to give the bride away? Frank. But who's going to be there as a representative of the family? Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bobby.
Just have Bobby.
There you go.
Yeah. Or the dentist one. I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or both.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, now I'm blanking on that. Oh, God. Okay, we'll loop that in. Anyway.
At this point, who cares?
I care.
All right.
care.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I care.
All right.
Care.
Okay.
She's trying so hard to control everything that she doesn't realize chaos is beginning to spin out.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even the Mondo Connie character that pops in.
Yes. I love that. Oh my god. I love that Laverne's parking cars and Shirley actually wants pictures of this. And Laverne is the maid of honor. She is the chauffeur, the parking attendant, and she's the videographer all at the same time.
Yes, we say videographer, but it is an 8mm film camera, so she's the the cinematographer, we would say.
The filmer.
I'm sorry. It doesn't have a big giant CCD sticker on the camera, so I know it's not.
True.
I literally just watched a movie at work the other day that actually had a video camera. This giant like CCD on there. It's like, oh my god, yes, this is an '80s movie.
Shirley was all excited for those gifts. Those gifts do not belong to her, so it's like
no, those do not.
They did not see the gifts you, Shirley. You can't take them with you. I had all kinds of visions in my head of them being like sued for those gifts afterwards.
Yeah.
Because Lord, suddenly they became her gifts. Now enter Rhonda, which is amazing. This whole bit is amazing. First of all, Leslie looks amazing. She looks great.
Yep.
Second of all, she's dating a mobster that looks like Frankie Avalon.
Fittingly.
Armando Connie. And she picked this guy up, and she is just thriving and living in the fact that she had a one-night stand with this dude.
Yep.
She's so happy to have had a one-night stand with this dude.
And it's like, did you see Carmine? Did you see Lenny and Squiggy to get Carmine out of the apartment? No, but Rhonda didn't leave from her own apartment. And it's like, it's like, Rhonda, this is a house of holiness. Yeah. And it's like, everything in Beverly Hills is holy.
So filthy. I love it. How did they get away with that line? It's so great.
Yeah. And that's when the wedding planner shows up again, and the El Taquet to be seen in with the scene in the dress.
I love Mrs. Harmon. She's so ridiculous. It's such a great moment. How did Rhonda even get word of this wedding? Is the question.
Oh, how did she get word of the wedding? I figured they would have wanted her. Well, she needed to be there to hold a boo-boo kitty.
I know that. Besides that, I mean, practically, if she is doing the walk of shame, even though she's not ashamed from this dude's apartment, who the heck got a hold of her? That's my question. She was a call her answering service.
It could be.
And someone, either Shirley or the boys or somebody, left a message on the machine, and then she found out. That's my only guess.
Squiggy would definitely do that, because he would assume that Rhonda would be a bridesmaid, and as a best man, he gets to bang the bridesmaid.
I can see him absolutely attempting that. Absolutely, 100%.
No, I mean, and I'm not saying this pejoratively, by the way, because I could see Rhonda being the kind of person to be like, it's it's a hookup, at the right time. Squiggy's a good guy.
And we have Mrs. Harmon trying to make passes at Frank, which he does not accept and is uncomfortable with. Because to be frank, Edna exists still within canon. We haven't addressed her disappearance. Yep. So he's kind of a married guy, so we can't do anything here. But sorry.
To be frank about Frank, this Mrs. Harmon loves when the fight's gone out of them.
Oh yeah. Don't leave me alone with this woman.
Don't leave me alone with her.
Don't leave me alone with her. That's right. Don't leave me alone with her. It's a great line. They told me I had big plans for her.
The hello gag that comes up like within less than a minute after this, where she asks, Shirley about, where's the groom? That it's customary to have their groom. Don't worry, he'll be the most. You'll know him when you see him, the most handsome, debonair man in the place. Hello. Oh man,
it's so good. And the boys are debonair. They do look good for them.
They look good, and not to mention one brought the rice and one brought the roni.
Yeah. I love that. I brought the roni, jerk. That whole bit. They both want to be stand up for him so much. I think it's so nice. It's a nice little gesture of friendship. The logic is pretty impeccable.
Oh, it is. But yet I also love that there is almost like a stoned or drunk sort of logic to the way they argue and the way they talk to people.
Yeah.
In this particular sequence, which it's very cute to me. It's very adorable.
Yes. The boys might have been stoned.
Yeah, I mean, well, probably. It's,
Like,
it's like,
quite
I mean,
possible.
it's a bunch of extras, maybe some extras, they'd had bad experiences with before. They needed a little bit of toke before they got to set.
Yeah, much to Mark's dismay.
Oh, right. Yeah, Mr. Sotkin. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sotkin was not pleased that the boys would either show up stoned to the set or show up stoned and not remember their lines.
Not remember the line sucks, but showing up to set stone, I mean, it's not. I don't like the crew being stoned. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah,
I've had grip gaffer types like go out and like smoke a whole fucking J and then come back, swaggering, stinking of it with their phone blaring hip hop music, and it's just one of those like, what the hell is going? Like, get to work.
In that case, when it gets dangerous because you could drop heavy equipment on people, that's bad.
Yeah,
like,
that's when you send them home and say, we thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
At some point, you have to go, well, no, this isn't happening. We're not going to let this happen. And
anyway, but moving back to the episode, Pop talking to Shirley. I'm honored you wanted me to give you away. I have known you for a long time. You're like a daughter to me. Oh, my heart. I always love this.
Only better, I don't have to pay for this wedding.
That part I also love, too. And I love them jumping up and down because it's a moving picture with the 8mm camera. Oh, it's so cute.
It's adorable. Oh, that's so cute. I love absolutely every little bit of this. I love absolutely every bit of this possibility in this introduction, and they try to vamp for time.
Yes.
And it ends up looking like the boys are walking Laverne down the aisle, marriage-wise. And
right,
then,
and it's the long process, and, keep your shirt on, lady. We're getting there.
And then David delivers the ultimate line here. You're looking lovely, Rhonda. And so is your cats. She's holding Boo Kitty. The cut there is immaculate. When they cut from his face, they're holding a Boo Boo Kitty and waving Boo Kitty. Because they know what the audience is thinking.
Oh, yeah.
They know what the audience is thinking.
Yep.
One top 10 all-time super filthy love it lines.
My mom was the one who pointed this out, though. Weird to make the jump, but the note is right in front of me that my mother took about this scene with Boo Boo Kitty and them passing by. How Rhonda isn't just holding on to Boo Boo Kitty, she's holding Boo Boo Kitty up to make her watch so Boo Boo Kitty doesn't miss a moment.
Oh, that's so cute. And she's puppeteering. Oh, that's adorable. Rhonda is really sweet in this episode. It's really enjoyable. I really do like her. And it's I love the priest's comments when they arrive at the altar. Very interesting.
Thank you.
I love that he tries to sort this out in a very Mel Brooksian way. This is very Mel Brooks.
Yes.
It reminds me of the wedding scene in Spaceballs at the end.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
I don't care who's getting married. I just want somebody to get married today! You! Yes! You! Yes! Good, you're married. Kiss her!
God.
That's absolutely what it reminded me of, and that's absolutely what I was thinking about when I was watching it.
Yeah.
So Squiggy has a plate in his head. I don't know how.
I mean, it could just be something he figures he has to say at a wedding, because every wedding he's been to has always been like some war vet that's said that, or some mechanic or boxer or race car driver that he's overheard say that.
It's possible, very possible. The girl's not needing a groom, which is very nice.
That's very nice. I like that.
Yes.
And and the minister just being kind of like, well, it is customary, sort of like, I mean, if that's what you want to do, okay, but I
know. Frank searching for nice Italian boys for Laverne.
Yes.
It's really great. Yeah. And Shirley's finally deciding that she has standards and refuses. I don't even know. I wouldn't call it standards. Shirley looking at Squiggy and declaring she won't marry him. Mm-hmm. It's like, come on, girl. Carmine ain't coming, but he does come. He does come, and that's what's great.
Yeah.
Like, much as I love you, Shirley, I can't marry you. It's so great. It's so great.
Squeaky Feeny from that. Yeah.
The Lullaby of Broadway moment is great.
Mm-hmm. The whole Broadway singing thing is wild, and I love the boys getting in, and then the organist starts playing the song. That's a great touch.
Yeah, that is great. And Carmine entering singing, so good.
Of course, yeah. See, Carmine, this is when you come in singing. Not a funeral, not Fonzie's funeral. Okay.
No gymnastics at other people's funerals. Only gymnastics at your own wedding.
Unless it's the Harvey Picnic, roast or whatever.
True. So I love that Carmine says, next time, the baby is going to need some notice.
Yeah, I can live with your way, but any other big surprises, like you want to have babies or something, I want more than a 1 or 2 hour notice.
Yeah, that's great. That is a great bit and a great line, and he's him declaring his love, which is really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, in the end, Shirley collapses, even though Carmine's willing to do it.
Yep. My mother guffawed so loud at Squiggy's, I win the pool! and
That's a great bit. That's true. But I guess Lenny bet that they were actually going to get married.
Yeah.
Old softy.
Well, exactly. He's a romantic. He's like,
Yeah.
true love.
True
Squig, if it's true love, then it never really dies.
Yeah.
And I love they make their vows anyway. And it's like, all right, you may kiss the girlfriend.
That's what they said about the Phantom of the Opera.
Anyway, but
so-
yes. So go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's much like Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves. Is this legally binding?
No, because they haven't signed any contracts.
True. The marriage license.
Exactly. They haven't signed any sort of licenses. If they signed the license, then yes. But it's one of those... my understanding is even as far back as like the early 20th century, the minister, by the power vested in me, by the state, blah, 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 to officiate. It's more of being able to officiate a ceremony that doesn't necessarily mean, and to be almost like a notary witness for the marriage license. But the license is what counts.
Yeah. In the end, it's the piece of paper, the binding piece of paper.
Exactly.
I don't know if they surely definitely had to have had a marriage license printed up somehow.
Oh, I'm sure.
To get this far. So that's the question. The question is, did she, have Carmine sign it? Did she sign it? And that's ultimately what it's about. And somebody would have to file it, true. So yeah, I guess so. But it is a good question to worth thinking about. Boo Boo Kitty completely disappears in this ending scene, which is very adorable.
Yeah.
I love that the boys making a circuit of the room with Laverne. Everybody dancing around. Carmine and Shirley kind of lost in their bliss. The boys immediately start lining their pockets with food.
Mm-hmm.
And they start chugging wine and all that jazz. And the boys going wild at the buffet is my notes.
Mm-hmm.
I can't blame them. And then Squiggy's just stealing silver to pawn.
Oh yeah, pretty much. But yeah, it's all in all, it's incredibly cute. I tried to do my best with making notes for this, but this is a nice jam-packed episode. This is a real return to form. This has the feeling of a season 4, season 5 high hitter, and I wish it had done the thing.
Yes.
But I'll still take it. Yeah. So with that kind of covering the notes, I mean, is there any other major notes you want to cover, or shall I go ahead with writer notes and actor notes?
Go for it. My last note is this is incredibly cute. That was my last note. That's all
100% agreed.
Agreed.
So writers on this episode, Cindy Beagle and Lisa Kite. Yes, the dynamic duo returns. Sadly, this is the last time as credited writers, so boo.
Yeah.
But this is their third and last episode for Laverne and Shirley before they hopped on to Mork and Mindy, Joni Loves Chachi, and Give Me a Break. Now, Cindy Beagle, as we've said before, would go on to collaborate with Lisa for quite a while, and then the both of them would sort of split off in a few other projects in the 90s. Now, on Cindy's side, she would work on The Martin Short Show and Hang Time. Most recently, she's credited for a segment of the 2018 Muppet Babies cartoon. Lisa Kite, as said before, went on to a bunch of different gigs, from 3 episodes of Alice, the new Leave It to Beaver, Married with Children episode. That was also used for the Aughts Spanish language remake. Lisa also did a segment for Hey Arnold, was a story editor on Recess, and she was credited with writing a whopping 25 episodes of The Kids from Rome 402 in 2000-2001. Now, the latter appears to be Lisa Kite's final credited writing gig, but was a good run, some great highlights along the way. And Cindy Beagle is currently still active on Twitter as an advocate for new writers, a mentor figure, and just all around a good bean, as the kids like to say.
Yeah, we're proud to be mutuals with her, and we're really proud to have her in our Twitter circle, so to speak.
Yeah.
She's awesome. She has also always been kind to answer questions
Mm-hmm.
about the episodes that she has written for Laverne and Shirley and give us little insights.
And if you're also a writer trying to get into the business, her mentor, the advice that she gives, it makes her an instant follow on Twitter.
Yes.
If you're trying to make it in Hollywood as a screenwriter for TV or film, she is really trying to stay on top of the business and gives some fantastic advice that both echoes and gives definition to a lot of the stuff you see from other places. She's wonderful.
Yeah. She's really cool. I am one of her mentorees, so to speak. One of the many.
Oh, I had a feeling. So actors, so Carol Cook is the wonderful Mrs. Harmon in this episode, the thirsty older woman. She is a prestigious comedy legend whose musical, cabaret, and acting prowess has entertained millions for generations now because her career has gone so long. Now, her big break came from connecting with Lucille Ball. She became a protege of Lucille. Lucille even actually was the one who recommended the name change to reflect Carol Lombard, actually. And she ended up on 18 episodes of The Lucy Show and another 5 episodes of Here's Lucy. She became kind of more active in the 70s. She bounced around various TV shows, got to be in The Gauntlet, and just before this was in Paul Schrader's American Gigolo.
Wow.
Now, this all being said, I mean, it seems like I'm covering a lot, but Carol Cook's career is a treat to explore, and one I think the both of us can definitely recommend doing so. There's tons of credits to her name. Though Carol Cook did sadly pass away January 11th, 2023, she was at the age of 98 and had a hell of a run. Not to mention, she was also married to actor-writer Tom Troop from 1964 until her death, which is a wonderful way for somebody to show that they got staying power. And Mary Tiffany shows up as the cameo as Mrs. Dorfman. Now, she was a bit player kind of later in her life. She actually had been born in 1917, meaning by the time that she got her first credit in the TV series Petrocelli, playing a nurse in a single episode, she was already close to 60 years old. So she's one of those, like, probably did theater, is my suspicion, because she definitely has that energy. But in terms of movie and TV, she didn't really give it a shot until she was much older. Now, after this role, she would do a few more parts in a couple of TV shows and get a bit part in Penelope Spheeris's The Boys Next Door, which now that I know about that film's existence, I'm very curious to try. But sadly, Mary Tiffany did pass away in 1986 at the age of 68. So rest in peace. But
rest in peace.
Then lastly, John Miranda as the minister, which another guy who was on Dark Shadows. Not a drill. We have another Dark Shadows alum.
Yay.
But this guy was a That Guy actor whose credits strangely did seem to stay in the Marshall circles with a spot on Happy Days, 2 on Mork and Mindy, and some Prunky Brewster. He was also one of the teachers in the John Stamos cult classic Never Too Young to Die, another bit player in Inner Space, and got to be regular in the 2-season wonder Paradise. Now, he's passed away at the age of 88 in 2015, so we say Godspeed, Mr. Miranda, and, it's customary to tell you that you're pretty awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for your awesomeness, and thanks for contributing to this wonderful episode. According to Cindy Beagle, who was kind enough to sit down for an interview with us for this episode, I Do, I Don't was pitched pretty much the way it aired by her and Lisa Kite. Quote, we pitched the idea that Shirley was getting a free wedding, we had that they were in a hotel, and the bride and groom broke up and the wedding was already paid for. And Shirley says that she'll take it. Then she goes to Carmine and tells him that she has a free wedding. I think he was reluctant from the beginning, unquote. I also asked her if Shirley and Carmine endgame had ever been in the writers' minds, and apparently it was not. Quote, if Shirley married Carmine, it would have taken the show in a completely different direction, so I don't think anybody even remotely thought about that. The relationship wasn't all that interesting, but he could be used as an on-again, off-again boyfriend when needed, unquote. She also said that Gary was always open to spin-offs if something worked, which is probably why we got a Carmine attempt, why we got a boys attempt. But what happened with Cindy was a completely unprecedented situation. They did not plan for it at all, quite obviously, and this is what happened. Just to add that most of the major formula changes to this show were made with the following in mind. The writers would have always wanted the core of the show to be the same because their chemistry was just so amazing. When Cindy left, they were stuck with a really unusual situation, and Paige just kept inviting her famous friends on to guest star, unquote. According to Cindy, Mrs. Harmon was named after a family friend of hers, but she was not created with Carol Cook in mind. Writers can suggest actors for parts in network series, but basically you're happy with whoever you get because casting is not the writer's domain. Cindy did indeed go to the taping of this episode, and she said, quote,
I can remember snippets like the scene where Shirley first gets to the wedding with Carol Cook at the venue and thinking that actress was great. I remember Carmine, I think, in fishing gear when Shirley tells him, which is amazing since I've never seen it again. Unquote. The most prominent memory she has of the taping we'll get to when we get to season 8. Thank you again to Cindy for sitting down with us and giving us a few quotes. We really appreciate it.
And that covers all that. So is there any other notes, any other stuff you wanna cover on the or shall we go into ranking?
Nah, those are all my notes. I'm all set.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna give this like an 8.5. It's very high. I wish it was a little stronger, but what's there, it's definitely, you got it. Like, if you like this show, if you've enjoyed the first 4 or 5 seasons, you got to watch this one.
This is an 8.5 for me too. We finally reached an accord on an episode this season. I super love this episode. It's funny. It's very sweet. It's very warm. It's got a good lesson to it. Everybody gets a lot of really great character moments. The only thing that keeps it from being like a 10 is them not pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
They should have just pulled the trigger. That's the only thing that really keeps it down. Actually, I'm going to go for a 9 for this one. I'm going to go for a 9. It's probably going to be in my top 5.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. The only thing that keeps it from reaching the echelon for me, that keeps it like in a, it's very good but not absolutely perfect level, is, pull the trigger. Just pull the trigger. We're in season 7. The show has been very long. It is time to go there.
Yep.
It's time to go there, because how many more plots can we get of the girls, dating around and
we're 100.
Creative.
We're about 150 episodes into this show, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we're like 140 something by this point. Like, just put a ring on it, man. Put that ring on there.
Yeah. I can tell you what my ideal, process would be here. But Gary had one idea, the network had one idea, and nothing worked out. And they should have just gone for it. Hindsight is 20/20, as the children say.
Yep. That's why when we see the butt, it is so incredibly clear.
Yeah.
Especially if it's
Carmine,
the feisty little Fisher boy butt.
Yep. The man who knows how to moon. Anyway, all right.
Cool. All right. So we will quickly have a quick word from our sponsors for the podcast version of this episode, and the YouTube version, you won't have a gap, but make sure to join us again for information of where you can find us elsewhere, as well as a little bit of a sneak peek of what the heck is coming up next for Night After Night. Okay, all right. Well, thank you again, everybody out there in the darkness, for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, you can find us on Twitter at Night After Night PC, or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, YouTube, or wherever fine podcasts may be listened to. Now, with that all in mind, it's kind of, it got this like sticky feeling underfoot. Lisa, what's coming up right now?
Ladies and gentlemen, for the educated and sophisticated collegiate, Karen Caldwell. Well, it seems that all is well with their relationship. Squiggy's jealousy quickly becomes a factor. Can Lenny learn to balance friendship and romance, and will Squiggy learn to share his Lenny? This is Love as the Tar Pits.
I don't know, man. Squiggy don't share with nobody.
Well, maybe Laverne sometimes. He was kind of on board with Lenny's crush with the whole thing.
That's a good point.
One of very few, very, 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 very few times where he's on board with Lenny falling in love.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah. Bye, y'all, and remember, don't take a stranger's wedding presents. It's bad luck.
Yeah, especially if the groom already has got a bullet hole to sew up.